I'd like to tell you about woman's world. In some ways, it is a very ordinary place, but in other ways, it is very unusual. For example, some of the inhabitants are pretty normal, but many of them are rather eccentric. Among the eccentrics, there is one woman who gets up every day and puts on fancy, fancy clothes, even if she is planning to stay home to cook or to clean all day. I will tell you more about her later. But first, I need to mention the most striking fact about woman's world. There are no men at all in woman's world. And the women manage just fine without them. Now, you're probably wondering about one thing. How do these women procreate? Well, their reproductive story is unique. When a woman is ready, physically and emotionally, to bear a child, she has a wonderful experience called the bliss, which is different for each woman. It may be like a miniature tornado, or like a sensual eating experience. Or like a visitation of some sort. In all cases, the result is the same: pregnancy. And now, I'd like to tell you about the bliss that was experienced by the eccentric woman that I mentioned earlier, the woman who dresses in fancy clothes all the time. One day she was at home painting at her easel, dressed in fancy clothes, of course, when suddenly her bliss came, in the form of an amazing display of swirling color and light. As expected, she became pregnant. And she gave birth to a healthy and happy baby. All of this fit into the normal pattern of life in woman's world, except for one thing. Her baby was a boy. In fact, her baby was me. Yes, the woman I've been describing is my dear mother. And my dear mother raised me with love and affection. Because of her, I had a wonderful, wonderful childhood. But eventually, some of our neighbors began to talk about me. And their gossiping started to get a bit nasty. I remember the day when some women came to our home to talk to my dear mother, to complain about me. And I can remember my dear mother's response to them. "My little boy, he's an angel. Please tell everyone you have nothing to worry about, nothing to worry about. Everything will be just fine. I'm sure of it." And so we continued our happy life together, dear mother and me, until one day the inevitable happened. I met a little girl. I was so very happy and excited in ways that I could not explain. Unfortunately, this budding romance was noticed by some of our neighbors. And this was cause for great concern. You see, the women of Woman's World feared that my infatuation with this little girl might, someday in the future, lead to a sort of physical intimacy that was completely foreign to all of the female inhabitants of Woman's World. This could not be tolerated under any circumstances. It was decided that the town twins would bring the news to my dear mother. They told her what had transpired between the little girl and me, and dear mother knew immediately what she must do. She arranged a meeting, and she took me along. We went to see the little girl and the mother of the little girl. My dear mother explained the situation. We all knew that things would have to change. And so we had to leave Woman's World, my mother and I. It had been her home her entire life, and she loved it dearly. But she loved me more. We traveled extensively, and we had a good life. But I just couldn't stop thinking about that little girl. I've never told anyone about her until now. So I'm glad I met you, and that I could talk to you. I hope we talk again.
I'm very happy to be part of your life.